Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Professor Kevin Dunn and I'm Dean of the School of Social Sciences and Psychology. I'm also Provost of Western Sydney University's Penrith Campuses, and I am your MC at this event today. I'd like to acknowledge the Darug people, the traditional custodians of the land we're meeting on here today, and acknowledge their stewardship over the centuries of the lands and rivers on which our campuses are located. And I thank the Darug, Gandangara and Tharawal peoples for their support of Western Sydney University's work in Greater Western Sydney, and I pay deep respect to elders both past and present of the Darug Nation, and I extend that respect to any Aboriginal people present here today. In a moment we'll be handing over to Uncle Greg, who's with us to offer and welcome the country. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all here this afternoon for this official opening of the Music Precinct at Kingswood. In particular, I'd like to welcome and acknowledge our special guests. That includes Mr. Craig Butler, the Assistant General Manager of Penrith City Council, members of the Board of Trustees, specifically Liz Dibbs, Jenny Purcell, and of course Professor Barney Glover, also VC and President, and I'll introduce him as a speaker momentarily. The Dean of Humanities and Communication Arts, Professor Peter Hutchings, and also our Dean of the School of Education, Michelle Simmons, is with us here today. I acknowledge Mr. John Bonanno, the Director of Capital Works and Facilities, and all of his key staff who've helped make this a possibility. I acknowledge Professor Sally MacArthur, Director of Academic Programs for Music and Music Therapy in the School of Humanities and Communication Arts, and her staff as well. It's now my great pleasure to invite Uncle Greg Sims, Western Elder, to offer a welcome to country. Uncle Greg Sims is known as an activist for reconciliation, a traditional woodcarver, a storyteller, and an Aboriginal cultural educator. He is tied to the Aboriginal community of Greater Western Sydney through his ancestral links to the Gundungurra of the Blue Mountains and through the Gadigal of the Darug Nation. Uncle Greg grew up in La Perouse but now lives in Greater Western Sydney. Uncle Greg.
Firstly, I would like to say good afternoon to all. Warame, Medigar Godambarak. Hello, friends. It's good to see you. My name's Greg Sims. Everyone knows me as Uncle Greg. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge we're in Darug land. I would like to acknowledge elders past and present. We don't own the land owns us. We come from Mother Earth. We are the land. The land we're upon today belongs to the Humanities tribe of the Darug Nation. Where I fit in is the Gadigal tribe of the Darug, which is based in Sydney, and there I belong to the Whale people. Growing up in La Perouse on the eastern shores of Botany Bay, where I grew up in Aboriginal Reserve, where that reserve was my university campus, where my elders taught me and taught me well. They taught me always show respect, acknowledge, never be greedy, and always share. Today, I live that life. I've been living in Western Sydney in the Mount Road area, which is the Humanities tribal area also. Been there for 31 years and 9 months. Because the old people said, take these values and stories with you and share, and take into the next generation and share. So what I've done, I did just that, along with my own values and stories. And the thing was, coming to Western Sydney, I brought the saltwater culture with me, where I shared that with the diverse of Aboriginal people living here in Western Sydney, people from the running water countries and muddy water. And we have the biggest population of Aboriginal people living out here in Western Sydney, between Blacktown and Penrith. I have well over 85 different dialects of Aboriginal people. And I am one of the Aboriginal elders of Western Sydney, and to become an elder you have to do lots and lots of work in your community before you get respect in return. And we as elders, we go out and teach how to break down barriers and build bridges. And the thing is that coming from these shores of Botany Bay and living out in Western Sydney, it's taken me over 60 years to get to the level I'm at, culture-wise, because I didn't learn yesterday and became the expert overnight and then telling people what to do today. It was a long journey for me. And those values and stories that I carry, I share that with everyone because I believe my values and stories belongs to all Australians because we're all one mob and that's the way it's got to be. You know, we've got to share stories. If we don't share stories, we're not going anywhere, because what we want people to do is come to the circle and share their values and stories, because we will never have knowledge if we don't do this. And once we start sharing, then we're heading in the right direction towards reconciliation. And I'd just like to thank you for having me here today, because this is the Playhouse. But it's been here for a long time, hasn't it? Yes. Been here for a while. And the thing is, I am one of the Aboriginal elders on the advisory committee here on campus. To be an elder on campus, there's about 19 of us. And when you look at the 19 elders on campus, we come from different nations throughout New South Wales. And out of the 19 elders, I'm the youngest out of all at the age of 67. I'm proud of who I am and what I do, and I just love sharing stories and working with people. So I'd just like to acknowledge Vice Chancellor, Professor Barney Glover, other distinguished guests we have here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Uncle Greg. And the thing is, another thing I do in the communities, and I think I'm doing a great job, I support Muslim communities. And the reason why I say this is because they've been stereotyped by the media, the same as us Aboriginal people. And I think it's time that when people start stereotyping people, I think it's time for them to go home and read their history. Because as soon as they see an Iraqi person, Iranian or a Lebanese person, oh, these Muslims. But a lot of them are Catholics and Christians. And that's why we need to come into the circle and share our stories and get a little bit more understanding. Because where we live today, it's one community, many cultures. So thank you for having me. And I see my a dear friend I've known for a long, long time here, Mr. Chris Levins. What a great man. I'm going to give the welcome, and then I've got to go and finish all this artwork. And so you have a lovely weekend. And we'll continue working together, because we've got to come together and work together as a team, because I get a little bit more understanding about a lot of things, because we're all here and we'll never be left without an answer, because there's enough of us here that carry a lot of wisdom and knowledge to share that if someone's losing a little bit of energy somewhere. So we've got all that. So don't be frightened to sit around and have a yarn to people you haven't met before, and because it's very important. We're all important people. So I'm going to give the welcome. So before I do, I'd just like to say, when we take our next step, just remember the ones that walked this sacred land before. Tiari mara, daraka pemal, kawi maria pemal galarigi babana, by naimina waranang, no disi guy, Diana Gama di Yaralang. Nagalaringi tiari, nagalaringi nagami gar. Guli winnie guna gal da guna gal. Dala lawi mukakat bala nagami. This a lawi ne trima guna gal. Jami tiari nagalaringi hora jomana. Midiga garang barak nina daraka pemal. Didrigo. This is Darak lands, the land of our ancestors. Their spirits still walk among us. Spirits that have been here since the dream time. Our language and our culture has been passed down from generation to generation to continue an unbroken culture that has extended for thousands of years. In the language of our people, we welcome you to Darak lands. Thank you, and have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you very much, Uncle Greg, and for that those words about building of community and sharing of space. And may the spirit of that welcome echo through this facility that we're opening this very day. Now I'd like to invite Professor Peter Hutchings, Dean of Humanities and Communication Arts, to acknowledge the various staff involved in the development and completion of this precinct.
Thank you, Kevin, and I'd also like to thank Uncle Greg for his welcome to country and pay my respects to the original owners of these lands, to elders past and present, and to acknowledge Indigenous colleagues here today. I'd also like to welcome members of the University's Board of Trustees, Deputy Chancellor Miss Liz Dibbs and Miss Jenny Purcell. I'm very pleased that we have our Vice-Chancellor and President, Professor Barney Glover, here this afternoon, my colleague Professor Kevin Dunn, the Provost of the Penrith Campus, and Dean of the School of Social Sciences and Psychology, my colleague Professor Michelle Simons, Dean of the School of Education. I'd like to acknowledge the team from Capital Works who are here today. Unfortunately, John hasn't been able to join us yet, but certainly I'd like to acknowledge Neil Hogan for his role in bringing these facilities around, and welcome my colleagues from the School of Humanities and Communication Arts, my colleagues from other areas of the university, and students and friends of Western Sydney University. It's a real privilege to stand here today in this playhouse, which now links with two adjacent buildings to form a music precinct, located in a prime position at the entrance of our Kingswood campus of Western Sydney University. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Glover, from whom you'll hear shortly, for recognising and valuing music's contribution to both the university and the community by ensuring that funding was available to support this project. Nothing is harder to get than money for capital works in a university. Significant capital works of this scale take a lot of planning and a plethora of staff across the university to come to fruition. I won't attempt to thank everyone because someone would get left out, but there are a few staff who deserve a special mention. Unfortunately, my good colleague, the Deputy Dean of the school, Professor Lynette Sheridan-Burns, is unwell this afternoon and unable to join us. She really led this project for very many years. The project began before we even had a School of Humanities and Communication Arts. We had a School of Communication Arts with responsibility for the music program, and as the leader of that school, Lynette was involved in the early discussion and vision for this music precinct. She's been incredibly tenacious to pursue it through changes of university administration, many budget cycles. She was supported in the early days by our previous technical and facilities manager, Miss Sue Powell, who did a lot of the early work in planning for this. And then Lynette worked closely with the Capital Works team throughout the project to see it to fruition. So John Bonanno, as Director of Capital Works, and his team, led by Mr. Jonathan Farrer as the project manager, worked very closely with the school to realise this extraordinary precinct. The background work on this project included many site visits to external venues, such as the Opera House, to understand the kind of acoustics required for a facility of this nature. I'd also like to acknowledge and pay tribute to the school's technical staff for their hard work and commitment to the project, and then transitioning from one building where people were really jam-packed in to the facilities we enjoy today. In particular, the contributions of Mr. Mitchell Hart, Mr. Noel Burgess, Mr. Darrell Lane and Mr. Franco Didio. Today we'll have the opportunity to hear from our Vice-Chancellor, to see students perform and hear students perform, to tour the new facilities to celebrate this exciting new stage of our facilities at Western Sydney University. So it's now my pleasure to announce our next speaker, Miss Lucinda Slevin, a second-year Bachelor of Music student, to tell us what the new music precinct means from a student perspective. Lucinda.
I would like to welcome Mr. Craig Butler, Member of Penrith City Council, members of the Board of Trustees, Deputy Chancellor Liz Dibbs and Jenny Purcell, Vice-Chancellor and President of Western Sydney University, Professor Barney Glover, Dean of Humanities and Communication Arts, Professor Peter Hutchings, Provost of Penrith Campus, Professor Kevin Dunn, Director of Capital Works and Facilities, Mr. John Bonanno, distinguished guests, staff, students and friends of Western Sydney University. My name is Lucinda Slevin. I am a second-year student enrolled in the undergraduate music degree. I'd like to start by saying that when I received my offer for the Bachelor of Music, I was incredibly excited. Knowing I was about to embark on a new stage of my life at such an innovative and groundbreaking university was an absolute dream. The Bachelor of Music has provided me with the tools to become the best possible version of myself, and that particular of a musician. I have improved immeasurably both as a musician and as an individual under the guidance of high-quality teaching staff who have done their very best to open our minds to new and innovative ways to create and interact with music. This content has often challenged us, even becoming a little terrifying, as it threatens to destroy our own preconceived ideas of music. The most important thing that this course has done for me is that it's got me to think for myself. Despite the excellent standard of this course, of the teaching staff and the content, the old facilities did not quite match up. It had fallen slightly behind. The old MIDI lab I remember often felt a little cut off from the world. After, a few hours working on the same project with no sunlight, you almost forgot what the outside world actually looked like when you came outside. However, Western Sydney University did not let this continue. They said, we need to give the students what they deserve. We now have a beautiful building with a state-of-the-art recording studio, beautiful practice rooms, which I tell you makes such a difference in terms of performance, and a wonderful new MIDI lab with sunlight. It's incredible. The environment is an incredible part of the creative process. We now have that beautiful environment that will encourage our students to create higher quality works to match this beautiful new facility. These new buildings mean that Western Sydney University values music. Western Sydney sees its worth and place in our society. The most important message for me that I take away from this wonderful gift is that Western Sydney values its students, providing only the best facilities and equipment. What they're saying is that we support you, we believe in you, and we value you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucinda. Western Sydney University values music. Western Sydney University values its students. And of course, that core bedrock strategic priority of Western Sydney University is foundational to the securing success ambitions of Western Sydney University, a strategic blueprint which was put together by our new Vice-Chancellor, Professor Barney Glover. He's an accomplished academic leader and experienced Vice-Chancellor, building research infrastructures such as these facilities, partnerships, fostering cultures of research excellence are hallmarks of the senior executive roles that Professor Glover has held over the years. He's Chair of Universities Australia and of the Museum of Applied Arts and Sciences Trust. I call upon Professor Glover to officially open the new music facility.
Thank you, Kevin, for that introduction. I'd also like to pay my respects to the original owners of the lands on which we're meeting, and to particularly pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to thank Uncle Greg for his welcome to country. Great to be here. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to the official opening of the university's very new music facilities on Kingswood campus, and I must say that Lucinda did us proud with her comments a few moments ago. It's wonderful to follow a student who's so passionate about what she's doing and appreciative in her case, and I'm sure she speaks for other students and staff in relation to the investment the university's made in music and music therapy. I know we've mentioned the special guests we have here today. I'd like to mention a couple of apologies. I know the Mayor of Penrith, Chancellor John Thane, couldn't be with us, nor could Alan Stoneham, the General Manager of Penrith City Council. I know they would have liked to have been here. We get great support from our local council, but I know Craig Butler's here, so it's great to have Craig representing the Penrith City Council. Our Deputy Chancellor, of course, Liz Dibbs, is with us. We have a number of deans here, Kevin Dunn, Peter Hutchings and Michelle Simons. It's great to have three of our deans. Of course, Kevin is also the Provost of this cluster of campuses for us in Penrith. And I know we have a number of our students and our staff and the friends of the Western Sydney University music program in attendance today, so welcome to all of you. This afternoon, of course, is about recognising the importance of music at our university through the establishment of this music precinct. A brand new facility built to accommodate the two music programs taught at the university, the Bachelor of Music, of course, and we've heard from Lucinda about that, and of course the Master of Creative Music Therapy program. Whether we notice it or not, of course, music is a very important part of our modern lives. It's all around us, and it's ubiquitous. We hear it through our mobile devices, in shops, in elevators, in restaurants, in clubs and pubs, on television, in cars, and whether or not we pay close attention to it, music is capable of manipulating and changing our moods, changing the way we feel. For some, music is simply a pleasurable pastime. For others, it's a job, and for others still, it's used as a therapy, recognised for its healing properties. Some would say that music is a universal art form, transcending geographical, national, political, and racial boundaries. It's also, of course, said to have strong affinities with economics and mathematics, and as a mathematician I can relate to that. And despite its seemingly abstract nature, as the French economist Jacques Attali has observed, music can be interpreted in very concrete terms as a mirror of society, a way of perceiving the world, a tool of understanding. In this view, music is central to our understanding of the world, its cultures and its societies, its power structures and politics, and through its powerful effects, its ability to establish relations between ourselves and others. Our Bachelor of Music program has some of this thinking at its core. It takes an eclectic and inclusive approach to music repertoire, performance and sound design, preparing our students for the industries in which they aspire to work. It focuses on the study and the practice of music of the present day, with a curriculum that's designed to inspire creativity and excellent musicianship without privileging one kind of music over another. The music program is not just about popular music or classical music, it's about all music. The curriculum integrates academic and musicological studies with practical skill development in performance, composition and sound technologies. The program produces highly skilled, well-trained practitioners, strongly grounded in music theory and musicology. A recent success story is that of our doctoral candidate, Dr. Holly Harrison, who was winner of the 2014 Young Composers Meeting in Apeldoorn in Holland. More recently, it's been announced that Holly's music will feature in the Musica Viva 2017 International Concert Season. Another one of our graduates, Alex Varlow, recently won the gospel section of the International John Lennon Songwriting Competition. And another graduate, Christy Lamb, won the high-profile 2015 Country Music Awards Best New Talent. The Bachelor of Music program has certainly produced dozens of success stories just like those. The university is, of course, Western Sydney University is the only university in New South Wales and one of only two in Australia that offers a creative music therapy program. Our postgraduate program, of course, is delivered in collaboration with the Nordhoff Robbins Music Therapy Association located here on our Kingswood campus. The master's program provides intensive therapeutic and academic studies on clinical musicianship and hands-on experience in real-world clinical practices under the supervision of registered clinical therapists. Student learning includes an understanding of the human condition, including disability and medical conditions, and equips students to build empathy with people as they open up channels of communication through music. The program attracts local, national and international students, and it's highly in demand. In the last couple of years, we've seen a doubling of the number of students that have enrolled in the program. To ensure that our students receive the best music education, they're supported by a permanent and sessional staff with strong credentials in both teaching and their chosen specialisations, and an expert technical staff, and I'd like to thank them all. Our music staff are experienced teachers and research collaborators and have achieved awards nationally and internationally across the fields in which they work, including music composition, musicology, performance and sound studies. Creative arts in the region are supported by the Joan Sutherland Performing Arts Centre in Penrith, which includes the Perth Conservatorium of Music, Penrith Performing and Visual Arts and the Q Theatre, and the Riverside Theatre in Parramatta. The university is proud to have links with these organisations and to be able to recognise those in particular, two of which I think are represented here today. It's wonderful to have you here with us. Of course, we today celebrate the opening of this state-of-the-art music precinct, comprising this performance space, of course, which we renovated in recent times, and the two adjoining teaching buildings that you've heard a little bit about from Lucinda. These new facilities provide professional and contemporary spaces for our students to learn in, including two professional multi-track recording studios with the latest digital and audio technologies, 3 post-production studios and 2 multi-station Apple labs, with light apparently, according to Lucinda, along with spacious practice rooms and teaching spaces. These are the most modern and sophisticated facilities available in any music program in the state, and they also surpass many commercial facilities. This music precinct is an exceptionally high-quality resource for Western Sydney students and, importantly, for our community partners. Now, I know Peter's already acknowledged some of those who have supported this, but I'll mention them again. Within the School of Humanities and Communication Arts, of course, the leadership of Peter as the Dean and Lynette Sheraton-Burns, who can't be here, as Deputy Dean, who's had such a long association with developing these music facilities. John Bonanno and his team have been mentioned a number of times for the work they've done in pulling this together. Interestingly, that they went all the way to the Opera House to do that, and I'm glad they did. From what I hear, the facilities are certainly impressive to those who are using them. And of course, we did have something of a deadline to get them available and ready for teaching in the spring semester this year. So thank you to John and the team for meeting that deadline. It is my great pleasure to now officially declare these facilities open for teaching, learning and research. I know they're already being used in that way, but nevertheless, I'm very pleased to be able to officially do that today, and I know many of you here will have a chance to look through them a little bit later. But to all who have been involved, thank you so much. This is a great example of what this university is about in supporting our community and our students and our staff right across Western Sydney. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Vice-Chancellor. So there you have it, officially open. Moving from speeches to performance proper. And I now call on 4 third-year students who are going to perform a cappella ensemble, or as a cappella ensemble. So if the 4 students could come to the microphone, 5 students, sorry.
Hi everyone. Today we'll be performing Run to You, which is originally performed by Pentatonics.
It was you who was standing there. Tried, it was true. As your glance met my stare, but your heart drifted off like a land split by sea. I tried to go, to follow, to kneel down at your feet. I'll run. I'll run. I'll run to you. I'll run. I'll run. I'll run to you. I've been settling scores. I've been fighting so long, but I've lost your war, and our kingdom is gone. How shall I win back your heart, which was mine? I have broken bones and tattered clothes. I've run out of time. I'll run. I'll run. I'll gates of heaven, 1,000 angels stand waiting for me. Oh, take my heart, we'll lay it down, break my shackles to set me free. Run to you. I'll run. I'll run. I'll run. I'll run. I'll run to you.
That was magnificent, wasn't it? So we should acknowledge who we heard from there just then. So it was Joseph Gatto. Well done, Joseph. Alicia Galbraith, Sydney Rella Pahima, Hippasipa Laku, and Tim Drummond. Okay, thank you, Drummond. Thank you. Why wouldn't Western Sydney University value music? Why wouldn't Western Sydney University value its students after we just heard that performance? A special thank you to all of you for showing up today for this official opening of the Music Precinct. Thanks to all of our guests, those mentioned, those not. Thank you all very much.